Wicked. Brrr. Here we are with Nez. How you doing? Pronounce your name for us.
Yeah, it's Nez.
Nez. And your surname.
Are we live?
We're live. And your surname?
Erok. Nez Erok.
Nez Erok. Awesome name.
Zulu.
Zulu Flow Zion is how you pronounce mine. And yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I just had a piece of chocolate to get my sugar levels up, so I'm feeling like my brain's working again.
Oh yeah, get the cacao in you.
I got it.
Actually, we met at a cacao ceremony, didn't we?
We did, but what I just had was nothing like that cacao. Oh my God.
You like a bit of cacao ceremony?
I do. I actually didn't know how powerful it was until recently.
As in, like, you had no idea?
No idea.
You never thought.
This one was full of sugar, but the one we had on New Year's Eve, that was amazing. That was just, yeah, it like opens you up. I felt like it was opening my chakras up.
And it definitely, yeah, that was a powerful one. And that's how the past 2 years I've started the year, is just super clean, super like with full intention, with full clarity of what I'd like to call in. And yeah, it's been a great year so far. It's been like a lot happening, but
I think 2018 has been like that for a lot of people. Hey.
Yeah, a lot of stuff has been.
How was last year for you?
Amazing, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Really? Oh, your year's always good then.
Well, you know, it was towards the end of the year, it got a bit shaky, but the first 9 months was pretty amazing.
Yeah. My last year was one of the worst years of my life. I had a friend pass away, and a lot of other stuff happened. But this year has just started off amazing, and I think it has a lot to do with the intention I set on New Year's Eve with you guys at Tribe. It's been really good.
What was do you care to share? Or?
My intentions were to be more in alignment, to live by my values, and to follow my passion and my purpose, and be more mission orientated rather than, I guess most of my life I sacrificed more for others than I gave to myself. So this year it's all about receiving and also giving, but like being okay to receive.
Giving yourself and being open to receiving the gifts.
And not feeling guilty about it.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people, actually, like that. You know, especially people who love to help others and serve others and be kind and be generous. And oftentimes, you know, this is something it's a constant balancing act for me, is to give to myself and almost have this selfishness, you know, it's like an enlightened self-interest, you know, and that for me has been like, I always want to give out there, but to fill my own cup up is, I guess if I'm always giving, then I'm going to empty myself, and then I'm giving from a place of emptiness as opposed to filling myself up to overflowing, and then I don't even really have to necessarily do too much because I'm so overflowing that people receive just from me being so full and overflowing, right?
Yeah, but that's always like, sometimes for me that's difficult to be able to.
That's what I mean. For a lot of people it is, and that to remember that.
You're right. Yeah, I always feel guilty receiving, and I feel like I've got to overcompensate so that people feel like worthy of me. I can't even explain it. It's not nice. I want to change it.
Yeah, well, that's a big piece of the spiral. Like that's the big shift piece. We mentioned the spiral earlier, so you know that's definitely something that can help with that. And in terms of because that's something that's been close to my heart, like losing friends. You know, in 2010, I lost my best friend to depression. They took their own lives 2010, and then my brother, who's literally like, he's got his remains just sitting in front of me right there in the egg. He also took his own life as well. Similar way, he jumped in front of a speeding train. And you know, the first time with Dan, when it happened in 2010, I was like, I think I was 25 at the time, and the way I dealt with it was just like terrible. It was like 6 months of just like heartache and heartbreak and me going unconscious. I just went like fully like downward spiral. Like my spiral was downward, and it was unconsciousness, just total, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Just totally didn't want to deal with life, and
escapism.
total escapism, full commitment to escapism. I was all in.
At least you were committed.
I was all in, and that took some time to unravel and get back on my feet. And and then just as I'm getting back on my feet, got some kids, and then my brother does the same thing in like 50 meters from my house where I was living. Like, it was crazy because we lived on the train line, and it was literally just behind my house. And I had just finished the spiral program. I just finished going through it, which was 2013. I went through it in 2014, January it happened. So literally like a week before, 2 weeks before I'd finished level 7. And the difference in how I dealt with it, I made this song for him. I got 20 people together who had all been affected by depression, and we got them together and made a song with one of my friends, Matt Colwell. He's a rapper named 360. I don't know if you've heard of him. One of Australia's foremost rappers. And we got together and made a song in dedication for people who had taken their own life. And that song was actually for Caleb. And I was there strong, holding space for people, and ended up being on stage with Dr. John D. Martini, who I've had on this podcast as well. I
love him.
Yeah, he was on an episode not like long ago. So yeah, and I was on stage in front of 500 people in a room, like being chosen to do the grief process. Like, that was 2 weeks after the thing with Caleb, and like I just manifested all these experiences to really deal with the. And
did Martini help you with the process?
Yeah, he took me through the whole process on stage. I was up there
like
for
quantum collapse.
We did the quantum collapse on the grief process with me on stage. Took us about 90 minutes, and then it was like it was just leveled out, equilibrium. And from that space, 2 weeks later, I'm making a song for my brother and getting all these people together, and just the total opposite. It was an upward spiral. I attest, that to the spiral itself. To obviously, I'd been there before. I'd experienced exactly the same thing 4 years earlier. And one of the big pieces around that for me was that every crisis or every challenge contains the seeds of blessings and opportunities. It has a blessing and has opportunity in it, but we have to be able to see it, right? So,
and it's to equal degree as well.
Exactly. So in terms of you, that was a long way of coming around to like the loss that you've had recently. You said you lost a friend. How did you go about dealing with that? And what was that experience like for you, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was denial, and then it was the acceptance. Took a while, but before I got to the acceptance, it was numb. And just still a lot of disbelief. And also I just was in a bit of a depression about it. So I had no energy, no motivation, didn't have any joy in life. I would see her, think about her, hear her still, and see her on Facebook still, and like her phone number's still on my phone, and it's like I can't even. It's just a weird concept.
And was that something you'd been affected by before? Is that kind of like the first kind of major one in your life?
Not really. No, it was my first experience of a friend dying.
And what was?
And she didn't smoke, and she got lung cancer, and somehow
crazy
was a victim of that. Yeah.
Wow. And
and she had 3 kids, and it's just she was 41, 42. It was
Whoa. And in terms of like what was happening for you prior to that, and how did you navigate through that? And you've come to a place now where you seem like you're like back in the game and flowing again.
Yeah, I think time is one of the biggest healers, don't you think?
100%.
Like, it's not like you stop thinking about them or you forget about them. It's just that you get almost used to it. Acceptance that they're gone, but in another form. And honestly, it's just time for me.
Yeah, nice. And in terms of like what were some of the things you were into? Like, I guess there's pieces around you singing, there's pieces around you doing the transformational work. Like, what are some of the stuff?
Well, my singing, like Dr. D. Martini talks about how your voids become your values. My void growing up was not having a voice.
How do you mean? You literally didn't talk, or?
No, well, I stuttered, but literally, Dad, because I was like a female, and he was quite abusive in my culture, that I was just shunned out and just kind of not validated, and my life didn't really matter. So I write songs to heal myself, and in turn I've helped heal others. So one of my songs, which is called Beautiful, I wrote about my past and about how I healed it. And it's about domestic violence. I don't know if you've seen the video or anything like that.
No, I haven't checked it yet. Where can you find it?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, it took me 6 months to actually be able to sing it, because I had the lyrics and I couldn't. I'd just start crying. And now it's won 14 international awards.
Whoa.
I got interviewed on CNN around the story. I think it's freezing. Are you still there? That's better. And yeah, it's just helped so many people, and I perform at a lot of functions that support the cause, stopping domestic violence against women.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm looking for it now. 2013, was it?
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it. Let's see if this will actually work. This is going to be something that I've never done before, but...
Okay. Well, it was the first time for everything, so go for it.
Let's see how we go.
Sure, there must be a way you can do it.
Yeah, I think this might work. Hold on. Sorry if...
No, that's okay.
It's taking extra long. Hopefully it actually plays and loads and stuff, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if we can do this.
Oh, yeah.
Is that working?
Yeah.
It's
working.
Can you hear it?
Here we are. No.
You can't hear it.
Let's go. I think you got to turn you off. Yeah.
Daddy, stop the fighting. I feel the pain. It hurts to hear your bitter words shiver in my veins. Your words are like poison. Your fists are like stones. Your eyes, they scare me. Please. Daddy, please stop fighting. Mommy, stop your crying. I'm only little, but my bones won't break. You can try, bring me down, bruise my face, but I know that I'm still beautiful. You can teach to be cruel, hurt my soul, but I know that I'm still beautiful. You can take it all away, leave me lost, but I know that I'm still beautiful. Tie my hands, call me names, play your games, yet I know that I'm still beautiful. I'm still beautiful. Daddy, stop the fighting. I feel the pain. It hurts to hear your bitter words that shiver in my veins. Your words are like poison. Your fists are like stones. Your eyes, they scare me. Please stop. You can try, bring me down, bruise my face, but I know that I'm still beautiful. You can teach to be cruel, hurt my soul, but I know that I'm I'm still beautiful. I'm still beautiful. I love you, even if I'm beautiful. I love you, even if I'm beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Did you hear that? It was really blurry on my end. Was it clear on your end?
What's going on here?
Was that clear on your end?
Yeah, it was super clear.
Really? Because on my end it was all crackling and I couldn't hear it, but I'm glad you got to watch it.
Sorry about that. Hold on a sec. There's music coming from somewhere that I can't hear. Hold on.
In my head, I keep on looking.
Maybe YouTube's still on.
Back to the start, wondering.
Kate Winslet came on. That was beautiful. That was powerful. That was amazing. That's wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for.
That was my childhood.
Wowzers.
In 3 minutes.
Yes. So many people could relate to that. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Even if they can't, like, even if they didn't endure domestic violence, it's still kind of valid.
Wow.
Be like fighting against your own inner critic, for example, you know?
100%. 100%. So what happened? When did that, was that 2013 that you released that?
Yeah, or 14. Yeah, 13. It's
and
been a long time.
What was, you said there was quite a bit of a, what do you call it? Like, it's the wrong word, but backlash, like, not backlash, but like, you know, like the resultant, everything that ensued from there. You said that.
Can you speak up a little? I don't know why I can't really hear you. My volume's all the way up. Speak now? Oh, that's better.
Let me just, I might have to hold the mic there. Is that better? Is that better?
Hang on, keep talking.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing. Yeah, it's all right. You've just got a really deep, really relaxed flow.
I'm sorry. I'm talking.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
I was saying, what was like the repercussions of creating that? You know, you said there was a bunch of awards and there was a bunch of stuff happening. Like, what was? Yeah. What happened off the back of the
bad
release?
Or good?
Just like in terms of, you said that there was like 14 awards or something like this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got 14 international awards for best music video or music for causes. I was interviewed on CNN, which was really cool. So I went to America.
You got invited to the States to be on TV.
Yeah, CNN. I thought that was one of the biggest achievements ever, but it wasn't about me. It was about the song.
Yeah.
I just wanted people to hear that song and just be like, hey, you know what? That touches me and that makes me want to know and feel and look within and just recognize my beauty.
Beautiful.
Whether I feel it or not, just to even affirm that so I can believe it one day.
Yeah, amazing. And what was were you like singing for a long time before that? Like, what was the lead up to
No. That was just like me just singing with a friend in a studio and we just put together songs. I've got another video clip as well, but like lately and that was another causes one. That one, only a couple of awards. I didn't really submit that into any film festivals. That was about children in war. And you can look at that later if you want. It's called Laid to Rest. It's really powerful. It's a bit graphic because it's about war and what children go through in war.
That's the realness, isn't it? That's that real shit right there. So thank you for creating this art. Like, it's very important.
Real shit. Yep. But now I'm making music like that's more kind of dance pop. So my latest track, Bridges, I don't know, you probably haven't heard of that either because we only recently met, but it made it to the ARIA charts. It was number 11 on the club dance charts, which was really cool.
That's huge.
Yeah, so this, it's all about my voice though, and that song's about depression.
Yes.
Yeah, we co-wrote that with Paul Brandoli in Melbourne, actually. So I go to Melbourne and I do a lot of work with him.
Beautiful.
He's an awesome songwriter. Yeah.
And that was you started writing songs when you were young?
You know what's funny? I was always writing songs, but I didn't know that that's what I was doing as a way of coping throughout my childhood because it was so dark. And like I tried to kill myself 3 times.
What ages were you?
I know what it's like. 15, I think, was the first. And then 20, 21, something like that.
Wow. And that, what was like, you were unsuccessful or like what was the...
I think it was more a cry for help for me.
Yeah.
I was unsuccessful, clearly. And
yeah, but I mean, like it was like there was genuine attempts, or it was like you were...
Yeah, it was genuine, but also at the same time, I think I just wanted to numb the pain and just, it was a cry for help, but I did want to die. I'd self-harm by cutting. And it got to a point where I got sick of drinking liquid charcoal at the hospital, and the hospital kind of got sick of me as well. It's not funny, but at least I can laugh about it now and be like, wow.
Everything's funny if you look at it the right way.
Yeah. I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, what was the I guess, what shifted things for you, and what was going on? Was it just that stuff that was coming up that was too difficult to deal with? And
it was so difficult. And you know, when you got a pressure cooker, it's called the pressure cooker effect, and it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and it's like, I can't cope anymore, and it just wants to explode. That's why people are like, and they, cut themselves, or mine was just to escape. But I read a book. A friend gave me a book and she said, you have to read this book. And I was like, what book's that? And she was like, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. The 101 of affirmations and self-development and loving yourself. And I remember reading the line, to love yourself. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what do you mean? That's so selfish. How can anyone love themselves? That's how foreign that whole concept was to me. I was just completely baffled by that whole concept. So I started with affirmations, and then later on started to believe them.
Beautiful. How do you remember any of them, and how long did you what was that practice like?
All of life flows to me with ease, joy, and glory. All is good, all is well. Everything is perfect just the way it is. I am beautiful just the way I am.
Yes. You even made songs out of them.
Yeah, she influenced me. And when she passed away last year, it was a really, really sad day for a lot of us.
Yeah, nice work. And what was the practice look like in terms of, was it just like you just say affirmations, like you repeat one, or like you repeat a bunch of them, or is it 5 minutes, you put a timer on? Like, how does it work? How did it work for you?
It was so long ago. I remember just reading the book over and over again, and probably just highlighting bits and just, I think I wrote them on the stick-it notes, the ones you can stick around the house. And I would have probably written them on my bathroom mirror or something like that. But I remember just practicing them and repeating them and thinking, what the hell? This sounds like such a load of shit. That's how depressed I was. Because every day, since I remember, I was told I was stupid, I was ugly, I was fat, I was dumb, I'd never amount to anything or become anyone, no one would ever love me. I was so ugly that my face apparently looked like a bulldog, and mud was another one. Wow. And like I'd get spat on, I'd get beat up.
Wow.
And I was told I was dumb and stupid every single day. Like every day, I just remember being depressed, sad, crying, just helpless and stuttering a lot. Even now, there's always that little voice in my head that's like, you're not good enough. You can't even talk. Like, how are you going to put the next sentence together? And I catch myself and I'm like, just flow. Like your name.
Let's flow, fam.
I flow. And then I'm like, I'm recently learning that I'm working with a life coach here. And he said to me, you've been programmed to not get it wrong. So therefore, I procrastinate a lot because I've been programmed to not fuck up. So, sorry.
It's all good. Every episode is explicit.
I don't know watching this, or I don't. Hopefully, no one's got a problem with swearing. I'm just trying to keep it real. I'm reading that book now, actually. What's it called? It's just the art of not. Hang on.
Of not giving a fuck.
Yeah, the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah, Mark Manson.
Best read ever. Have you read it?
It's okay. Yeah, it's all right. I like it.
Yeah. So
I like the concept.
Yeah, it's a good concept. So now I'm like, hey, it's okay to get it wrong. If I get it wrong, it doesn't mean I'm going to be in trouble or beat up because he's not here anymore. I'm on my own. I don't have to keep doing that to myself. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Like, it's good on you for doing the work. And I guess was that something you'd always into? Like, you said that you were writing and you didn't realize you were writing songs. Was that like you were just writing your thoughts, writing poetry, like writing verses? Like, what did that look like?
I was writing poetry, but it was, mainly poetry.
Yeah. And
I sang a lot.
You sang a lot too?
Sorry? Music got me through my childhood. Songs, just all day, I just listened to music. Yeah,
beautiful. And in terms of the reading piece, was that something you were into? You were into books and stuff? Like, your friend gave you books because you were a reader, or like?
I was very academic. My dad was like, get A's and get A pluses. And if I came home with A's, I'd get beat up for not getting an A plus, you know.
Wow.
So I'm very academic.
But
I got 4 uni degrees, and I don't even know why I don't use them. But I was like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. So see, like, it's what DeMartini talks about. Your voids become your values. So my void was feeling dumb, so I went out to prove that I was smart. Yeah. So the blessing in disguise kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. So for you, in terms of, you know, there's other work that you're doing. You said you're about to launch a new, launch into this new kind of thing. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm a life coach and a counsellor, holistic counsellor. I'm really into the mind, body, spirit stuff. I actually studied in Melbourne at the Phoenix Institute. Do you know of it?
Yeah, I do know of it.
I do transpersonal counselling now. I think they've shut it down.
Yeah, they have.
That sucks. It was such a good place. So I'm launching. I'm just working on my website at the moment. So just
and you're based in Perth, is it?
I'm in Perth, WA. Yeah. But with all this technology, I mean, you're pretty much global, really, aren't you?
Doesn't matter where you are, really.
E-counselling, text counselling, there's Skype counselling or Zoom.
That's awesome. And in terms of that, what do you love working with? Like, what kind of people do you love working with, and what kind of?
Mainly youth, especially young women, and also domestic violence victims. And that's because, once again, my void became my value, so therefore my purpose. Yeah,
beautiful. And what kind of, things do you come up in sessions, or like with people, and how do you help them, or how do you work with them?
A lot of young women suffer from anxiety and depression, and the whole not good enough. And I think, if we were all good enough, we'd be light, right? But, there's always going to be that element of not feeling good enough. But it's just about, just allowing people to be comfortable with who they are and not being so hard on themselves. And with young women, they'll work with a lot of self-harm victims. So they're just, looking for an outlet of expression. They don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. I think when you're working with clients or people, it's just about making them feel seen and heard. Just that talking therapy on its own is so powerful.
Just being there, just having someone that you feel comfortable around, just being yourself around, and having someone who's there in front of you, who's not judging you, who's not putting any kind of expectation on you to be anything other than however the fuck you want to be. I think there's some power in that. That's
right. And not just listening, but hearing with your heart. Like really being present enough to, and hearing the unspoken words. I think that's healing on its own. Just walking with my clients along the beach. I like to do the walking, talking therapy. Yeah. And especially for teenagers, it's much more helpful because, it's very confronting to be one-on-one with a person.
One-on-one, and like sitting across from one another, like, even if you are comfortable on the couch. Yeah, 100%. I know exactly what you mean.
you know, and walking and talking really helps people express more, I find.
Yeah, beautiful.
Just being there, being present, and also being real.
Talk to us more about that.
So when I share my realness, when I swear or when I, you know, stuff up, or when I talk about my depression and my suicide attempts and my not feeling good enough and my exposure to abuse or the blessings in disguise, I'm allowing them to be real and vulnerable and trust enough to open up, to be like, and understand, oh my God, you know, I'm not alone. Because my biggest thing growing up was, oh my God, am I alone? I think I'm alone. Nobody gets it. It's my fault. And I had so much shame. Like, the shame was so dark. I can't even explain how dark that shame was. It was so heavy. It was so toxic.
And they can relate then, right? They can definitely.
Yeah, because I love them.
It's like I'm not perfect, you know, and don't get the idea that, you know, don't put me on a pedestal. Essentially, often working with.
Oh yes, oh my God, totally don't put me on a pedestal. I've got so much to learn.
Yeah, as soon as I stepped into any space where it's like a workshop or you know, I'm facilitating something, it's like, look, we're here as equals and not necessarily just equals, but just everyone is individual. You know, everyone is individual. We're all on the level playing field, and you know, everyone has been through experiences. Some people might be more ahead of the game in terms of what they've practiced or what they've experienced, but we're all human beings. We're all, you know, these beings that are in these bodies, and we're all working with the same tools, essentially. You know, so there's no point in putting me up there or putting you down there or putting yourself down there and putting other people, you know, like, or putting other people down there and putting yourself up there. Like, there's no point in doing that. It doesn't serve anybody.
I got to create a possibility around that, because my problem is I'm always putting myself down.
I'm sure in saying that that you're not always putting yourself down.
That's right. That's not possible. That's a big statement. Most of the time, though, the majority of the time, I live in the not good enough, the not achieved enough, the not well spoken enough.
Well, you've got that conditioning, I guess, you know. So, said you were telling us about the conditioning you had if you didn't get an A+. You know, that's the it's running. That's the.
So I'm creating all possibilities every day around changing that, and just being like, okay, you know, this is where I'm at right now. And then reading this book, as simple as his theories are, it's really so. I like it because it's simple and it's stupid. Like, it's simple, stupid. It's like, we're all going to die, and we're living like we're not going to, you know, we're eternal beings, which we are in a spiritual sense, but we're not in a mortal sense. And we just take ourselves so seriously. And I'm like, why?
Let's have some fun.
Stop it. So I'm like, if I would have a lazy day at the beach, I'm going to do that. And, you know, this is me being in the moment and living life and breathing the oxygen and swimming in the water and, you know, being in Mother Earth's womb, and just like, I didn't work 9 to 5, and that's okay. I'm not going to fit that mold, and I'm not going to be hard on myself for not fitting that fucking mold. Sorry, no offense to anyone who does work 9 to 5, and you know, if you love your job, it's fine, but I just don't want to be doing anything that I don't love doing anymore, because life is too.
That piece is huge. The amount of people out there doing shit that they don't love is depressing. Just the thought of it. You know, it's just like just me thinking about that just gets me down. It gets me angry almost. It's like, well, you're here to experience life, and if it doesn't feel good, and not just in a sense of like just do like all the things that feel immediately gratifying, but if it's something that brings you inspiration and lights you up and fans your flames, and you know, if
awesome, do it 9 to 5, do it 9 to 10, whatever.
Do it 9 to 9, do it. You know, you'll struggle to go to sleep. You'll struggle to stop me from, you know, it's almost 11 at night here. This is what I love doing. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody has to remind me to come and run a podcast and talk and meet people and connect with people and really, you know, this is what I absolutely love doing. So this conversations and sharing with people and being able to be in a position where people can listen in and be inspired or learn something, and if that can unlock their potential and unlock their greatness and allow them to be and do and have all the things that they want, you know, that for me just does it for me. You know, that excites me. That's what brings me a light. That's what gets me. That's what I love doing. And that, for me, I say yes to that. You know, and
so tell me more about that. What was your void that became your value in communicating your message to others on such a large scale?
well, a big one for me was the piece around, like, I didn't have a vision. I didn't have many kind of, how would you call, like my parents, you know, even my parents, my mother has been minimal, not very maternal at all, not there at all. Very kind of just left me like neglected and abandoned and all that stuff. But she was doing the best with what she had, you know. So I don't blame her. But for years I blamed her, and I was pissed off, and I was, you know, so I was
understandably.
and even my father as well. Not that much there. Physical abuse, you know, even from the womb, like, you know, he was physically abusing my mother while I was in the womb, you know, which created a lot of stuff as well. So, and then obviously I'm probably reminding her of him and all sorts of stuff going on, right? So
a lot of projection.
And so in that, I didn't have any stability. I was very lost in a lot of the first half of my life, you know, and delved in deeply into like psychonautical adventures, and, you know, in terms of the just really traversing consciousness in different states of consciousness, and into the pharmaceuticals and the different states of consciousness that can be had through different plant substances and so on and so forth. And for me, I was looking for something out there, and, you know, reaching for things, trying to make sense of all this, and trying to find out why I'm here. And it's actually funny. I was 16 years old. I was given a book. It's a book that I love reading, and I've always loved reading since I was young. I think since 5 or 6, I would read a lot and draw a lot. And at 16, I was given a book, Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. And that was like that was a big game changer for me. I was like, what? There's this thing you can actually develop, have this personal development or spiritual development. And, you know, in a different way. It wasn't like exploring the consciousness, but it was exploring deep in the books. And it was like, okay, cool. There's this thing called NLP, and you can change your own brain and your own habits. And still, it was still a sense of lostness. And a big piece for me was like, not knowing why I was here, not having a purpose, being lost in a way. So that for me became, at 16, at the same age, I found Qigong as well. So I was I
read that on your profile.
Yeah, so I was watching Dragon Ball Z, and I was like,
you're watching what?
A cartoon called Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball series, and in it they make like energy blasts, and they train a lot, and they practice these things, and I'm like wondering what it is. I'm like, because I thought to myself, surely they would have based this off something. So I was like, I typed into Netscape, I think it was at the time Excite or Yahoo, back in, you know, dial-up days, and I was asking the question, how do I make an energy ball? How do I want to be able to do this? And then
because you can with Qigong.
Then I found Qigong, and I practiced with a good friend of mine, the same friend of mine who jumped in front of the train in 2010. Me and him would train daily. We would be doing cultivation, drawing energy up, and trying to blast energy out of our hands, right? And that, it's funny, retrospectively, I look back at that. I'm like, my future self already knew what was going to happen. You know, I had my back, and I was like, I had my back in the future version of myself. So in that became my big piece there. Like, still a little bit lost, still a little bit didn't know why I was here. And I think it was 2008 that I first did my Vipassana. I did a Vipassana meditation.
Wow.
Like
how many days?
It was a 10-day silent meditation course, essentially. People call it like a retreat. I'm like, there's no retreating. You're doing work every day. It's like, it's a course. And
I haven't done one. I'm sitting meditating all the time, really.
Sitting meditating all day, every day. And not speaking to anyone, not looking at anyone, not writing, not listening to music, none of that. And just being with your own thoughts and your own self. And for that amount of time, when I left there, again, just before I went to the first one, I was like, just come from like a week-long bender. You know, I was like high as shit, for like a week. And then I went into there, like detox myself. and I, when I stepped out of there, people would ask, I could barely talk. I was just blown away by the power of just sitting there and meditating. And I was blown away. And people would ask me like, how was it? Or how are you? And all I could respond was, everyone needs to do this. This needs to be in schools. This needs to be in workplaces. This needs to be in organizations, in, you know, office buildings in the world. This needs to be in sports clubs. This needs to be everywhere, in the home. And I would say that like probably for the first 100 or 200 people that asked me about my time there, hey, how was Vipassana? I heard you done this Vipassana. Everyone has heard of it, but hasn't, they might have not done it themselves, or they might have done it and just were curious about what it was like for me. And literally that was my response, but I never thought that I'd actually do anything about that comment. And then a few years later, 2 years later, actually, 2010, I got reconnected with Qigong. Beautiful Qigong brother Ryan Nasser reconnected me with that, and I was practicing with him. Not long after that, I started teaching Qigong, teaching meditation, teaching mindfulness. And I was, that was my piece, like getting real mindful, getting real present, you know, and for the reason of not just, I always had this thing, because I was been coaching for a long time, since about 2007-8 as well, because I first started as a dating coach and then moved into lifestyle design and moved into now mindfulness stuff and personal training as well. I was a personal trainer for a while. So I was like, with meditation, I love meditation for meditation's sake. I love just being present, just to feel whatever comes through. But for me, I was like, let's do something with this energy, you know, like, yeah, we can all sit around staring at our navels, but I'm like, yeah, but I feel like there's a piece of actually doing something with this energy, you know. And for me, it became the purpose piece, because I was so lost. It's like, all right, cool, this has given me a sense of purpose. I've found my purpose through all of this mindfulness. And the more mindful that I become, and that we become, anyone who's practicing mindfulness becomes more purposeful in their actions, you know. And that's how I look at purpose. It's not necessarily this, I will find my purpose and my be all and end all, and then life will be sweet. It's like, well, the more present I become, the more I allow whatever wants to come through me, and the more I'm in touch with my intention in each moment. What would I like to create right now, right here? What am I?
You learn to master that Qigong energy in order to center yourself, in order to guide you more towards your purpose.
Yeah, well, it's more so that became my purpose. Like, I was like, what is my purpose? And was asking myself, and I was like, well, to bring mindfulness to the world. That's what, you know, for me.
It's about being still. I can't do Qigong for too long. I actually get bored. So I really hat down to you. Like, that's incredible stuff.
It's powerful stuff. And for me, that was the void. It was like, I was very not present and very lost, not knowing what the direction was. So those are the two pieces, was mindfulness and purpose. And that's,
so how long do you do Qigong for every day? Do you do it every day, or?
Yeah, so for the last 805 days so far. So my goal is 10,000 days, and that's been a process. I've tried to do 1,000 days many times, and I fell off on 50 days the first time, then 280 days, and then 150 days, and I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm just going to extend my goal to 10,000 days, and then 1,000 will be easy. And that's sort of.
How long do you do it every day out of all those long days?
It could be. It's usually minimum 20 minutes, but sometimes it might be 90. It might be 90 minutes on some.
Dedication, right there.
Yeah, well, that's the piece, isn't it? So that was like the undiscipline, the lack of time management, energy management. I didn't even know time management was a thing, you know, for years. I
think a lot of us struggle with that now, with the many disruptions on technology, like our phones. But I do a bit of Qigong in body balance class, where I'm just like, energy ball. You're like,
oh yeah, it's super powerful stuff, super fun, super easy.
And then we're like, breathe in, breathe out. Yeah, so
it's definitely getting the alignment with the breath and the movement and the mind intention is super powerful. Anything to
I actually tried doing Qigong classes on the beach a few times, and I literally got a sore lower back and I had to stop.
Yeah, you did some, you said?
Yeah, because of standing there, and because you got to plant your feet on the ground and get really grounded, and that for some reason hurts my lower back. Maybe from my scoliosis.
It all depends on your posture. Yeah, there'll be little things you can do. You might be like it's crunching the spine a little bit, or if you're upright and your spine is lengthened and you're really aware, because you'll notice that the tendency will be for the spine sort of to collapse on the hip.
My spine's like this. It's an S. And I have a lordosis like that. So when I naturally stand, it's like really awkward.
It's like out, yeah. So it'll be good for working that, but ensuring that you have someone there to really guide you with the posture and like just ease you into the different, just to check on you and just to be able to go, okay, cool. It's like yoga or something. If you're doing it wrong, like in the pose, it's going to cause more damage, right?
Absolutely. Cool.
So that's that for me in terms of that. Like everything I do now is based on bringing more mindfulness to the world, and for the purpose of, actually practicing mindfulness, being more mindful. Because imagine a world where everybody is practicing mindfulness, where it's like people brush their teeth every day or put clothes on every day.
We wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have starvation. We wouldn't have global poverty.
We might still have that but it'll be consciously chosen, People will do it from a place of like, well, I'm actually conscious about this. It's not coming from unconsciousness,
Well, I mean, imagine if we had it in our schools alone.
Yeah, and this is what we're doing. So we are doing a lot of work with kids, and there's cool stuff happening in the next 5 years, next 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10 years. Mindfulness is going to be everywhere. So I'm glad I'm at the beginning of this, and I have a deep seating in it, because it's
growing. I remember years ago, back in 2004, when I started self-development, a numerologist told me that this whole self-development, personal development, spirituality was going to be like the norm.
Yeah.
In 2000, and sort of after The Secret came out, kind of, when was that? 2007 or 2006? And it really is now, isn't it? It's more of a.
Well, you look at yogas everywhere. Like how many people practice yoga? It's like millions.
Yeah. I talk about the law of attraction, say in 2002, and people would be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And now it's like, it's just something you talk about.
It's normal. It's become normalized, and that's, I feel, is beneficial. If people is just becoming normal, like, that people are like, oh yeah, thoughts create things. It's just normal,
Yeah, you can say that and not be looked at like you're mentally ill.
Science says, quantum physics says, come on, guys.
It does indeed. Whether we like it or not, we're creating, so we might as well create consciously, right?
Exactly. And in terms of, I guess people who are going through, like depression, and they're feeling anxiety or they're feeling suicidal, like what kind of, what kind of message would you like to send them, or what would you like to say to anyone?
Starting with depression, I find that depression only happens to me. I can only speak for myself when I'm not living in alignment with my values and with my purpose, and I'm not doing what I love, and when I'm not being of service. So if I'm not doing any of those 4 things, I'm naturally going to be depressed, but that's not my common state. I'm just depressed.
Values, if you're not in line with your values or your purpose?
I just made all that up, but what was it? Values? Being in alignment with my values, my purpose, and what I love.
Okay, cool. And being in service. Yep.
And service. Yes, good listener you are. Yep. Yes, I have to be of service because that's my biggest purpose. So if I'm not doing those things, I'll be depressed, and I'd go to a doctor and he'd put me on antidepressants, right? He wouldn't ask me, what's my purpose? What's my mission? Am I in alignment with those things? It'd be like, you're depressed and you need some,
whatever.
Prozac or whatever it used to be called. I was actually on Prozac when I was 18. So that's when I find I get depressed personally. And then suddenly I'm not depressed like the next day because I'm doing something I love. So how can you be constantly depressed? Like, it's just a state, I believe. And anxiety.
So it's you. It's a process of asking yourself a question and say, where am I with my values? Like, what what are my values first and foremost? Like,
am I living in alignment with my values?
Like a lot of people might not even know what their values are. So I think just naming what your values are is super, super beneficial. And then the other piece would be like, all right, what is my purpose? And something might be the purpose of like, well, the purpose is to go for a walk today, like get out of the house, or it might be like to make breakfast, or, you know, something simple as that.
Yeah.
It might have to be this big, like,
it might be as simple as feeding your dog, or taking your kid to school and kissing her goodbye and just spending a little bit of time in class with her. That might be your purpose for the day. Like, it might be your purpose to save the world. Like, whatever, you know, makes you happy. Just do it.
And the values as well, for some people, I feel that there's a, what do they call it? I don't know if it's the right word, stigma, or like this kind of pressure to put your values as something that is kind of just something that someone else thinks it should be. So it's like those injected values, like it's like, oh yeah, you should be a doctor. But I don't want to fucking be a doctor. Like I enjoy playing video games, so, you know.
That's right.
And I know people who actually make shitload of money playing video games, you know, like
or making
them, you know, or creating them.
Well, I mean, that's also when I'm depressed. When I was growing up, I was supposed to be living by not my values, but everyone else's values, and that was depressing, really depressing.
And so aligning that with your actions, you're saying, so just making sure that you're taking the actions that are enabling you to have those needs met, those values met, fulfilled.
Because you've got to put them into practice, otherwise, you know, you're going to stay depressed.
And how did you move from that space there to then being of service or being in line with the values? Was it just a choice to go, all right, fuck it, I'm just going to not do anything in line with my values?
It's always a choice, but sometimes you're so fucking depressed, right, that you can't even get off the couch, can you?
Oh, I know all about it, yeah. I've been there. I didn't leave the house for months on end.
Oh my God. That was most of my year last year. I literally was, and I self-sabotage, so I'll do stupid things like smoke when I'm not even like a full-time proper smoker. I'm still a smoker. I own that because I'm obviously stress smoking or social smoking, and I hate that I do that. So I did stuff like that last year. I was so not on purpose. But in hindsight, it kind of was being on purpose because this year's been so good. So it's like, in reflection, I can be like, well, you know, what goes down must come up. So I had to kind of live that to appreciate just the simple things now, because I was so depressed, like so depressed.
And what's helped you come out of it? What's helped you come out of it? So what was it just a choice to do? Or like, did other people help? Was it support? Was it
lots of friends, lots of talking, a lot of being on repeat. Thank you to all my friends who listen to me on repeat.
What do you mean? You were just like going over the same stuff that was like...
It was like Groundhog Day every day. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that was me. And friends, of course.
Is that Bill Murray? Is Bill Murray in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I saw a psychologist every month. I did a lot of workshops, and time, like I said, time is one of the biggest healers.
And how did you get in service?
I had to give myself closure.
Give yourself what?
I had to give myself closure about something that happened. I had to actually give myself closure about it.
Well, what does that look like? What do you mean by that?
Someone else. It was like, you know, I don't want to go into too much detail, but it was like when someone leaves your life and they don't say why, and it's like you're left with, oh my God, what did I do? Was it me? You know, what did I say something? Did I do something?
Yeah.
Pretty bad breakup, to cut things short. And it left me really hanging.
Oh, so open threads are the worst. The open threads are like one of the worst things for the human mind. It's like, what the fuck? It needs to tie that up, that bow on the end, you know?
Yeah, I was like literally a string just hanging, wondering.
What the fuck?
What happened?
What the fuck?
What just happened? So someone's in your life every day, and then suddenly they're gone. It's like a death.
100%. So that when you gave yourself the closure, did you just come up with, like, did you just insert your own ending? Like, how does one give themselves closure?
I wrote them letters, actually. I sent one, but I wrote daily for a while, and it felt like I was sending them the letters. And it's so weird. Once I actually communicated, it was coming out of me, pouring out of me, and therefore it was like I was getting closure. I can't explain it. It's like music. You write a song and you sing it.
It's like the talk therapy that you were talking about when you're walking and talking on the beach.
Yeah, I'm a writer, so I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I felt like I was writing to them.
Yeah, nice.
And I felt like they were hearing me, so yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So it's even that is powerful in itself, just having a conversation with someone, even if they're not there. I think there's massive power in that, even like.
Yeah, and I think that they feel that. Anyway, we're all energetic beings and we're still connected whether we talk or not.
Whether they're there or not.
But yeah.
And whether they're alive or not too. If someone passes, you can still have conversation as well,
Do you do that with your friend and your brother?
100%. And anyone who's their, like, ancestors, and anyone who is important to you or has been, or is just even whether you've met them or not, that there's, as woo-woo as that sound, there'll be like conversations with, like,
woo-woo. So not woo-woo.
Well, we're living life in the flow zone. So we're living life in the flow zone right here. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. Right now, it's not woo-woo, people. You can have conversations with, it's probably just aspects of the self, but it's just like, well, it's, there's sometimes direct communication, and it's a powerful practice.
That's right.
And from here, what's coming up for you? Like 2018 started well, you said, so things are looking on the up.
Well, it's funny because that pain brought me to self-love. I've still got a lot of work to do, right, with the self-love, but I'm 80% there.
Beautiful.
I'm no longer self-harming with the smoking and that, and, partying and all that stuff to escape, and not looking for other distractions to fill the void, I'm actually just working on my purpose and being of service, even if it's for free, even if I'm not charging for it. I'm just doing what I love, and I'm really loving meeting new people. So you leave a relationship and then suddenly you've got all this space to meet new people, and I've met so many new amazing people, including yourself, and I'm traveling more, and I feel really good. I'm still sad, like I'm still grieving, but it's less. Yeah. And I think I'll always grieve about it, but it's much less. So this year is about travel and being fully self-expressed, because my biggest fear and regret would be if I was not the best version of myself.
Right.
So yeah, working on that.
Beautiful.
What about you?
Beautiful. It's a big year coming up. Lots of these podcasts, a lot of podcasts, bit of travel. I'll be in Jamaica in
nice.
August in the States.
Are you from there?
Yeah, I'm born in Jamaica, so we've got a big get together over there. And what else is coming up? There's been lots of speaking gigs as well. I want to get on stage more, because I was a rapper as well. So I was doing rapping and singing for many years.
I loved your rapping on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that was super fun. Because you just
freestyle, yeah?
That was all freestyle. Yeah, that was all just
amazing.
That was in the flow zone, deep in the flow zone, and
that was so good.
That was super.
And
fun,
how good is Ben?
Benny?
Ben Temple.
Yeah, Ben Temple Step. Absolutely legend. That was amazing. That was incredible to be invited into that space. So it's like, because I've seen him do his thing for years and years, and then he was like, "Yo, let's do a thing," and that was super duper awesome.
I actually really enjoyed your performance. I want to go to Ubud and work with him. Actually, that's another thing I'm getting into this year. More kind of spiritual kind of music.
Yeah, nice. Some of the sound.
Psychedelic trance, but or maybe some stuff like not Lana Del Rey. What's her name? Donna DeLore.
Not familiar.
She sings that song, J Ma, J Ma. Anyway, just all the spiritual music stuff. I want to do that.
I'll have to link it though. Send us a link and
I shall do.
Check it out. We can have a sing.
Well, what's the time there? Because you've got a 3-hour time difference. I know your thing's going to end soon, though. I think on the 1st of April, is it?
What thing? Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah, savings.
That's a good question. Let's find out. This is where I need a Jamie in the studio.
A what?
A Jamie in the studio. Have you ever watched Joe Rogan's podcast?
No.
Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it's the 1st of April or the last day of March.
Let's find out. Yep, Sunday, 1st of April, 2018.
Yay. So we'll have a 2-hour difference instead of 3 now.
At 2 a.m.
Yeah, wow, 2 a.m. That's a random time to do it. Yeah. Whatever. You're sleeping, won't make a difference. You wake up and you'll be like, shit, I've got to get up an hour earlier. Or is it later?
You lose an hour there. So it's like you, instead of having 8 hours sleep, you have 7 or whatever.
Yeah, well, you'll adjust. The days are getting shorter and the nights are getting darker and the autumn leaves are out.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like?
The weather here?
The seasons, like the autumn in Perth.
We've got the same seasons, but we're a Mediterranean climate, so we're not alpine, so we don't get as cold as you. I lived in Melbourne for a couple of years. It was so fucking cold. I had to move back.
Well, I always say that's a great thing because if Melbourne had really awesome weather, there would be 15 million people living here. So it keeps away all the people.
You know what? You're right. It would be. And if Perth wasn't so isolated, there'd be 15 million people living here.
So it's a bonus.
So thank you for the chat. Should we call it a night?
Yeah, you should. And I'm going to stop the recording.
I got to go eat.